Hello, trading is closed on November 11th, 2015. There was a MEJT target from yesterday's trade of 2075.54 that printed, and there was support under the target. I said that unless we gapped over recent highs, and preferably by more than a small amount, that I thought that would print. Well, we did gap over the highs, but it wasn't by very much. We promptly reversed, and there was support at the target. I said that we normally, almost always, we get this 2073.78 price. It doesn't have to print, but almost always will. And so we have to keep in the background that we might have a lower price in front of us. During the day, early on, MEJT said ultimately higher prices would print, which they did. It said that the drop first was a false move and that this price would print on or after this time. In the afternoon, it said ultimately lower prices would print, which they did, but the initial drop it claimed would be a false move, and on or after this time, this price would print. Here is your dot. No new MEJT signals for tomorrow, so I'm forced to rely on other things. We've traded in a pretty tight range for almost 3 days. Normally that's all you get, and there should be a pretty big move coming. I can make a case for either direction, but let's go over the pros and the cons and then make a prediction. The case for going up from here is that we still have a buy signal, a sequential buy signal, a new buy signal on the 15-minute chart, and that goes along with the pre-existing signal on the 30-minute chart. Also, since on the 15-minute chart the lowest bar was early in the sequence, if the signal works, it tends to be a very strong move. Don't forget, if it fails in a big way. Also positive is the fact that we have the NASDAQ McClellan oscillator near its lower Bollinger Band. Typically that marks market lows, but it isn't a pinpoint indicator. I mean, we could go lower too. Well, that's the case for moving up. What's the case for moving down? We have struggled mightily to go past the price of the FOMC announcement. Haven't been able to do it. In fact, after hitting a new recovery high, we gave back all of it and couldn't even hold on to this low. After 3 days of trending up, we not only couldn't hold on to these highs, we couldn't hold on to these highs way back here, which makes this move up, the gap up, spurious. The three-leg whipsaw says we should go down into the 2050s, the low 2050s at a minimum, and that's what I've been looking for some time. We still are on a sell signal on the half-a-day chart, and usually the longer the duration of the bar, the more valid the signal is. If we do get the gap outside of the range that I'm predicting, we're going to have an island reversal on the NASDAQ, and that usually leads to some pretty good drops. We still have MEJT targets of 2060.34 that I'd like to see print, and also way down to 1985.65. Of course, they could fail. That could happen. But other than the recent targets, the last failures are back in April of last year. We also, from October 22, have a hole in the wall, a gap. At some point, these gaps fill, and we undercut the low of the wall, which is 2017.22. So even though futures are up now, I think the odds favor but don't require that we're going to gap outside of the day's range on the downside. I think if we drop, there's a chance for a recovery when we get numbers 12 and 13 of a combo signal, a buy signal, on the 30-minute chart. But if that fails, I think we could have a very serious drop down into the 2050s and possibly a lot lower than that. So I'm pretty confident we're going to gap outside the day's range. I think the odds favor but don't require the move to be down. And if we don't recover pretty early, it could be in for a very serious drop, and that's today's call.